The circus is back in town, and it's looking rather splendid with its chief clown performing, ringmaster, blonde, bellicose, barely house trained. He's mounted the central platform once more. That's rather like a sofa, but a little bit higher. And Boris Johnson, self-anointed high priest of Brexit, part-time columnist for Kraos, has emerged from his post-prime ministerial torpor to declare war not on Labour, not merely on Brussels, but quite possibly on Kemi Badenoch herself. Johnson's criticism of Starmer's EU reset was delivered with the subtlety of a pantomime dame hurling haddock, describing the Prime Minister as an orange ball chewing manacled gimp of Brussels. Boris isn't merely criticising policy, he's auditioning for spitting image. And he's not wrong in noting that this deal reintroduces elements of EU control over food regulation and fisheries and even opens the gate, quite literally, to youth mobility. Though not quite. Not quite. It's all a bit delayed. But this isn't just policy posturing. This is the unmistakable sound of a campaign starting pistol. Johnson is limbering up. And as for the battle on Brexit, the criticism centres on fishing again. This 12-year extension of EU access to British waters has been painted as betrayal, treachery, even treason by Reform UK, the Scottish Fishermen's Federation, and now Boris, for Johnson, who once promised fishermen full control of our waters. This is political gold. And as he put it, we're on the point of taking back full legal control next year, only to have Starmer sacrifice UK fishing interests for what he calls a hopelessly one-sided deal. But is this about fish? Of course not. It's about leadership. Kemi Badenoch, the current Conservative leader, the failure in power, has attacked the deal herself, calling it a surrender summit and promising to reverse it if elected. But her language is managerial and easily forgotten. Johnson's is visceral, performative and memorable. She says, very concerning, he says, non-voting punk of the EU Commission. This is not just rhetorical one-upmanship, it's a reminder that while Badenoch may command the office, Boris commands the spotlight. There's a whiff of 2016 here. The theatricality, the nationalism, the betrayal narrative. Boris invokes the spectre of the Chagos Islands, the Chequers debacle, the European Court of Justice. He's not just criticising Starmer, he's daring the Tory grassroots to remember what made them fall in love with him in the first place. And for Badenoch, this is dangerous, because Johnson is framing her as weak, slow and irrelevant, a woman caught in the slipstream of a political maniac with a thesaurus and no filter. This isn't about parliamentary strategy, it's about Boris reclaiming his base. And Reform UK is rising, Labour is cruising, and the Tory brand is fraying, and Johnson's performance, grotesque and compelling, reminds voters that there is still a showman in town, one who doesn't speak in think tank tests and policy jargon, but in punchlines, pub jokes and pirate metaphors. First, it puts pressure on Badenoch. If she can't match Boris's populist energy or cut through, she risks being outflanked, not just by Starmer, but by her predecessor. Second, it fractures the Conservative message. Are they the party of practical alignment or the party of theatrical rupture? Third, and most importantly, it opens the door to a comeback. Johnson may not formally seek office again, but he's reshaping the ground on which Badenoch needs to fight, on which the Conservatives will fight. Her tone is post-Brexit managerialism. His is red meat nationalism with a slice of humiliation. So here we are. Boris Johnson, who left office in disgrace, now re-emerges as the outraged oracle of sovereignty. The EU reset deal, negotiated with fanfare, defended with technocracy, has handed him a political cudgel and he's swinging it with gleeful abandon. The question is not just whether the deal holds, it's whether Badenoch does, or whether Boris's bombast is the prelude to a second act none of us quite expected would occur. It's been anticipated, but could it ever happen? And today, listening to Boris or reading Boris's statement, I think it could. One thing is clear. The clown prince of Brexit is back, and he's eyeing the crown once again. Now, the question is Boris inevitable? I don't think so. I don't think so. He is inevitable if the Conservative Party wishes to go down this route. If the Conservative Party wishes to compete on how Brexit the present government has become, or how anti-Brexit the present government has become, then Boris is a natural leader. The problem is it's still likely to be difficult to distinguish between Boris and Farage. The best position for the Conservatives is to move back to the centre and try to turn the conversation into getting the best Brexit possible, rather than into abolishing Brexit. Now, I would be much happier with the abolition of Brexit, but I would equally be happy to see the Conservative Party survive by campaigning for the best possible Brexit. And that's not so much about trade deals with America as clarity, and the clarity isn't there. And the clarity could be there, but it's been so heavily botched first by Lord Frost, then by Sunak, and now by Badenoch and the twits on the front bench, Priti Patel and co. Brexit is not about migration. Migration is an accident that has occurred because of Lord Frost's stupidity. The migration problem was not an inevitable consequence of Brexit. And that debate and that discussion needs to be had very clearly. There has to be a reset of the 1951 Refugee Convention, and that has to be central to any future debate about Brexit. And whether we stay in this Brexit condition or whether we return to Europe, the 1951 Refugee Convention has to be addressed. It has to be evaluated. It has to be reformulated. It has to be reworked so that it deals with a 2021, a 21st century situation. And then it's a matter of who leads the debate. The Conservatives at the moment have squandered that opportunity. Labour is squandering it. Reform is very much taking the headlines. The Lib Dems are being quiet. If Boris were to take over the Conservatives, he would be certain of a voice. Whether or not he's saying the right thing, that's another matter.